Hello, everyone. Today we're gonna pick off right where we left. Um, so we're back using the Tragicki's textbook. Last time, just a little review. We covered the free market economy, the planned economy, and the mixed economy. And now we're going to move on to using and understanding the world by the use of models. Okay, so first, this is undoubtedly one of the most important models in economics. So this is called the production possibility curve. A lot of models in economics, as you progress and as your understanding progresses, we're gonna be covering a lot of these production possibility curves. So let me read the description first. Consider a simple hypothetical economy producing only two goods, microwave ovens and computers. This economy has a fixed, unchanging quantity and quality of resources, factors of production, and a fixed technology. The method of production is unchanging. Okay, so table 1.2, we're going to go over to table 1.2. So it shows the combinations of the two goods this economy can produce. So let's move on to table 1.2. So figure 1.2, here it is. So this is a table where it shows at each point the number of microwave ovens that the economy can produce, the number of computers the economy can produce at point A. B, 35 microwaves and 17 computers. C, 26 microwaves and 25 computers. D, 15 microwaves and 31 computers. And E, 0 microwave ovens and 33 computers. So we're going to look here. This is the actual production possibility curve. We can also call this production possibility frontier, but that's a little more unconventional. And the conventional way of calling this graph would be the production possibility curve. So in the production possibility curve, here we have the production value units. So in simple terms, what these are the numbers that we can produce for each good at each point of the economy, which is given here. So when we look here, point A, 40 microwave ovens. So on the y-axis, we see microwave ovens. So at point A, which is kind of, if you guys learned algebra 1, this would be the y-intercept because this is at the point where x equals 0, the x-axis, x equals 0, and y equals 40. So at this point, at point A of the economy, we can produce 40 microwaves and 0 computers. Point B, 35 microwave ovens and 17 computers. This matches. Point C, 26 microwaves and 25 computers. Point D, 15 microwaves and 31 computers. As you can see here. Point E, 0 microwaves and 33 computers. Now, when we analyze this PPC meaning production possibility curve, when we analyze it, right? When we analyze it, points are not always going to be on this curve. Now, this depends on the economy, but when the economy is, when the government or company's economic goal is to produce 40, as many microwaves as possible, then the ideal point would be point A. If the company says, oh, we want to produce as many computers as possible, then point E would be the ideal point. But in most cases, point C would be the most efficient point because at point C, we are producing around equal amounts of both microwaves and computers. So point C is ideally, not all the time, but ideally the most efficient point. But sometimes when the economy's resources are lacking or companies lose funds, let's say, for example, it costs more to produce computers and the point might move from point C to B because now we're producing more microwaves than computers. Now, you guys might be a little confused. Oh, point F and G are not noted here on the table. What could these points be? Okay, so if we're at point F, that means it's under the PPC, the production possibility curve. That means the economy or company is underperforming. This means that the economy and company and or any sole trader of any kind are under not using their resources efficiently, or they have the resources to produce at this point, these points here, but they're lacking, they are not exploiting their resources correctly. Point G is outside the PPC. Now, what this means is that this point is unattainable. Technological advancements or employment increases or more investments or larger investment in factors of production. The last time, as we said, land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. So land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. So these factors of production and an increase in investment in these factors of production need to occur for the economy to be able to curve out here, which will make point G attainable. So currently, point G is not attainable for this current economy. So as a review, point F is when the factors of production are not fully employed. These points mean that they are being fully employed, but these points may differ of ideality, of how ideal it is, depending on the company's or economy's aim and goal. Point G is unattainable. For the economy or company to be able to reach point G, they have to increase their investments in factors of production. What I explained is a summarization of this very long, boring text. Okay, we'll move on. Now here, we learned what opportunity cost is last class. It's the next best alternative. In this case here, in this graph, it's showing the increased amount of opportunity costs. So we have more opportunity costs. We can, if we produce at point, let's say, call this point A, then the opportunity cost would be all these other points. There would be more microwave ovens, but less computers. Here, a little less microwave ovens, but a little more computers. Here, way more microwaves, and way more computers. Way less microwaves and way more computers. More computers, less microwaves, more computers. In the computer's perspective, more computers, less microwaves, less computers, more microwaves, more less computers, more microwave ovens, and so on. And this is a constant opportunity cost. Now, what a constant opportunity cost is showing is that this PPC, these opportunity costs are very constant. They increase and decrease at a very certain rate. Now, what we're going to discuss here at figure 1.3 is the shifts in the PPC, the production possibility curve, the growth and decrease. So the growth in production possibilities is caused by increases in the quantity of resources, improvements in the quality of resources, and technological improvements, as I mentioned before. Let's read this yellow bubble. It is important to distinguish between actual growth, which involves a movement from one point inside the PPC to another point closer to the PPC, and growth in production possibilities, involving an outward shift of the PPC. Actual growth is caused by reduction in unemployment and increase in efficiency in products. Now, actual growth is when a growth occurs between these points. And that will be actual growth, and a growth in the production possibilities. Now, the possibilities you could achieve in production with your current resources would be a shift of the production possibility curve. Now, from A to B is actual output increase as a reduction in unemployment. Now, what this means is that the factor of production increased. Factor of production of labor increased because less people are unemployed. That means more people are unemployed. Which means that more people are available to contribute their physical labor into increasing the production possibilities for these goods Y and goods X. So that means A to B is an actual increase in output. Now, take a look at graph B. In graph B, we see increases of the production possibilities. Now, this is economic growth as an increase in production possibilities caused by increases in resource quantities or improvements in resource quality or technological improvements. Now, this means that the production possibilities have increased. The possibility of, you know, production, the possible points of production have increased. It's gone from PPC1 to PPC2 to PPC3. Now, this means that either the company has done more investments into technology. Now, that would occur through buying more capital or improving their technology, which would mean renovating their currently existed capital, or it could also mean that they employed more people. Now, that would also shift the production possibilities because now you have a larger labor force, so you can so the possibilities of production are much greater. Now, let's take a look at graph C. This is a decrease in production of possibilities. What this means is that the possibilities of the production possibility points have decreased. So how this usually occurs is when a company they lose their technological, resources. Their capital has got outdated. Let's say more people have resigned, they've quit the job, they have less people in the workforce. So that means their production possibilities have decreased. So the curve itself decreases. Now, this is non-parallel shifts of the PPC. Now, what this means is that you've got partial growth. So let's say if this Y was, well, as we mentioned earlier, microwaves, and X was computers, and this would mean that the growth of resources for microwave production have increased, where I have stayed the same, increase at a constant rate, whereas the resources for computer production has increased at a much larger rate than it has for the microwaves.